Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video, I will show you how to perform CRUD operations with a file like create, read, update, delete to iCloud in React Native's new architecture for iOS. So let's get started. So I have written down most of the code. Again, this is an iOS specific tutorial for React Native. Also, you would require a paid Apple developer account to access iCloud. Now first you will have to create a project using this particular command, but don't pass the version number, sorry. Like whatever is the latest version, it will pick up based on your command. At the time of me recording this video, the version which I am using is React Native 78, and instead of turbo module example, you can give it whatever name you feel like. So I have just given it as RN app. So here you can see I have just created one project. Now we'll go through this code step by step. So we need to write native code because at the time of me recording this video there is no third-party library available. So first we need to create a folder called specs. So that's what I have done over here. Created a folder called specs. Inside that it is telling us to create a TypeScript file. Now I can't use this native local storage because it doesn't make sense in our case. So what I have done, I have named the file as native cloud storage. Now you can give it whatever name you feel like, but do remember this name because this name will be used in a lot other places. The file name has to be start with the word native. Rest you can use whatever you feel like. Then I have just copy pasted all this code which is present, and I have refactored this method as well as this particular name. So if you see over here, I have copy pasted everything, and in our case it would be a create method first, which takes the value which will be in type of string, like what I want to save it inside the file. Read will just read the file and it will return promise of type string. Then there is update as well, which again takes the value, and delete file, again it is promise of boolean. And this is the again here I have replaced it with our own TypeScript file name. So instead of native local storage, you will have to write native cloud storage over here. Then okay, you will have to go to your React Native project, go to iOS. Okay, before that, sorry, I forgot one more step. You will have to go to package.json, and if you again scroll down the documentation, here you can see you will have to copy paste this bit of code as well. So I have already copy pasted it over here. Again, instead of native local storage, you will have to write native cloud storage spec. Don't forget the word spec at the end. And here also, instead of native local storage, you will have to use native cloud storage as well. Okay, so once you have copy pasted all this, then the important thing is you will have to go to the root of your React Native project and run npm install. I have already ran it, so I won't do it. We have to do npm install because we have changed the package.json file. So make sure you do that. Once that is done, you will have to cd to the iOS directory. And if you scroll down here, you can see first we need to run the bundle install command. Again, I have already run this, so I won't run it again. And after that, you will have to run bundle exec pod install as well. So again, you can just copy this command. Also, I have run this command, so I won't run it again. I just paste it over here. Now again, this will take a bit of time because it needs to do all the CocoaPod installation and stuff, so just be patient. Now let's see how to use it. So you will have to go to app.tsx, and firstly you will have to import native cloud storage, something like this. Then here I have created one touchable opacity button. So on 4 touchable opacity button, one for create, one for read, one for update, and one for delete. So on create, on press of it, we just do native cloud storage dot create, and here we are passing the value whatever I want to save. So here you can change this to whatever you feel like. Then this is for read, native cloud storage dot read. This is for update, again you can change the string to whatever you feel like, and this is for delete. Okay, now if you want for read, you can add one more text if you feel like, because we need to display that text as well, right? So I can just add something like this value, and then we'll have to take one state over here. Okay, so this set value will only come from this read function. Okay, over here, so something like this. I'll just paste over here. Now for other method, return type is boolean. So if you want, you can just print it to the console. Like it's up to you how you want to do it. Also, if you want, you can just wrap this entire thing inside a try catch as well, just to be on the safer side. So again, I'll just add this for everything. So I'll just paste it over here. I'll just paste it over here as well, and I will just add console logs. So over here as well as over here. Okay, so all that all that is done. Then so I will just take this particular style. I'll just paste. I'll just take this over here, and I'll change the color as orange or whatever color you feel like. I'll just paste it over here. Okay, the next thing which we need to do is I'll just go to React Native project. You will have to go to the iOS folder like I mentioned, and you will have to double click on this .exe workspace. Inside double click on this, and it will open it for you inside Xcode. So here I have this Xcode open. Here I have this project. Here I have the RN app. Then you will have to go to sign in capabilities, and firstly you will have to change this bundle identifier. Like this is a really bad bundle identifier, so I'll just change it to com dot. Again, the bundle identifier is important in this case because it will create a container ID for us on iCloud. So I will just name it as com dot, whatever is your company name dot. I will just name it as React Native file upload, but you should give it some proper name. This is just a dummy app which I'm creating, that's why I'm using something like this. Then click on plus capability, and here I will just add iCloud. Then I will just enable all check all these check boxes. Then I'll click on this plus button. I'll do something like this, iCloud dot, and I'll just paste the bundle identifier, and I'll click on OK. All right, so now it is updating our provisioning profile. Make sure you select your proper team as well, that is also important over here. Next, again, we'll just come back to our documentation. So first we need to create a group. In our case it will be native cloud storage. So inside your project you can just right click, sorry, not like this, you can right click, new group, and name it as native cloud storage. Now I already have that group, so I'm not renaming it. Again, I'm not creating a new one, so I'll just delete this one, but you'll have to rename it to native cloud storage. As you can see, I've already created it. Inside this you need to create few files. So first right click, again new file from template, select Cocoa Touch class, click next, and firstly you will have to name it as RCT native cloud storage. Change the language to Objective C. Okay, click next, and then click on if you click on next, and here you will have to click on create. I have already created it, so I won't create it again. As soon as you create it, Xcode will ask you, do you want to create a bridging header? Click yes as well. So once that is done, it will create three files for you: this header file, this Objective C file. For Objective C file you will have to change the extension to .mm, so it is Objective C++. Then this header file is also created for you. Inside its header file you will have to add this particular thing. Now this is a new thing from React Native 77, I guess, because from React Native 77 or 78, I don't really remember, the iOS project is completely in Swift. So previously, in previous React Native project, we had to create this header file, but we didn't have to add this particular import. But I think from 77 or 78, I don't really remember, we have to add this particular import as well. Definitely from 78, but I'm not sure for 77 or as well. So yeah, you will have to add this, and here you have to create this Swift file as well, because most of our logic will be written in Swift. So again, just right click, new file from template, select Swift file, click next, and here you have to just name it as native cloud storage. So as you can see, I have already created this, I won't create it again. Make sure the targets is checked, so that is also important. Okay, so first we'll go to this header file. Now the same thing has been mentioned in the documentation as well, so if you want you can go through this document. So here inside in the documentation, first I have copied all the code from the documentation itself. This particular line of code is missing from the documentation, as you can see over here. So yeah, that's what it is. So I'll just import the foundation, and here is our native cloud storage. Again the TypeScript file name followed by the word spec. Again this have been copied from doc, as well as this particular part. This has been copied from doc. This also has been copied from doc. This like I mentioned is missing from the documentation, but I think, but maybe by the time you watch it they might add it. So again, yeah, this should be your own file name, TypeScript file name, and this also you will have to change, like I have already changed it, native cloud storage. Okay, then you will have to go to first let's go to Swift file, because yeah, that's the main juice of it. So first you have to import UIKit as well as CloudKit. Then here we need to create our database, so it should be a private cloud database. Here is our identifier. So first again, like I mentioned, you will have to write your container IDs, right? So it was iCloud dot our bundle identifier, so I'll just paste my bundle identifier over here. Okay, then here is our create file method. uh, so here I have just created one create file method. It takes a completion handler, and inside that we are calling some another method called create file in iCloud. So I'm just I have written all the code inside this particular method create file in iCloud. I will show you that particular file, sorry, method, not file, shortly. And it just takes the content which we are passing from React Native side. Now the React Native stuff will pass this to Objective-C, and from Objective-C we are calling this Swift file. Okay, so once it is success, whatever is the success value, I'm just sending it back to Objective-C, and Objective-C will send it back to React Native side. Then this is the read file. So here we just call read file from cloud. Again we get the content, and here is our completion handler. So if there is content, then we pass the actual content, otherwise we just say no content found. Then here is our update file as well. Again the text, here I have just hard coded it. We should not hard code it, we should pass the actual text, and whatever is the value, success value, we send it back to Objective-C, which will send it back to React Native side. Same for delete file as well. One thing which I forgot to tell you is, if you go to native cloud storage, here some of you might be tempted to use only the delete name as the method name. Don't use that, because delete is a reserved keyword. I don't know, maybe in JavaScript or React Native it doesn't accept that, it will give you lots of errors. So you'll have to name it as delete file. That's why I'm using delete file over here. So again the same thing, here is the delete file from cloud, and once it is success, I send the success or failure, whatever is it is, I send it back as a completion handler. So here is create file in cloud. Okay, so this is the file name. Now for create file, there is one caveat which I want to mention. This is our file name, right? So if you press the button twice, it will create like two files with the same name. So be careful with that. If you want to add a logic to check whether a file with this name already exists or not, you can add it. I have not added it, but yeah, be careful with that. Also, when we are running the application, make sure the user has already signed in with in their iCloud account. I have also not added a check for that, but also that is important. Okay, so here I have this file URL. Okay, we are writing the content to our file URL. Then we are creating a CK asset out of it. Then we create a CK record, assign the asset to our record. Then we save this record inside our database. If it is error, we print out the error. Otherwise, we print out the success. Again, this is for error as well. This is for reading file from cloud. Again, we create a CK query. We pass the query to our database fetch, and then once we have the result, if it is success, then we get the first match out of it. Then we get the asset record file. Then we get the file URL as well. Then we convert the file URL to a string, and here we just pass it inside a completion handler as well. Okay, then the completion is nil for catch clause, for else clause, as well as for the failure clause. Then there is this update file in cloud as well. Here is our CK query record type of file storage. Here we just do database.fetch, again passing the query. We fetch the file. If it is success, we fetch the first file. Then we here we just create a temporary file to write the new contents of it. Then we again pass it to iCloud, save it inside our database. If it is error, we send the error back. Otherwise, This is for success, and again this is all for error as well. Next thing, for delete file from cloud, again we create a ck query. We pass the query to our database fetch. If it is success, we get the first match out of it, and then we get the success, and then we delete it from our database. And here, in case of failure, we just do a completion handler for failure. So this is for success, rest it is for failure. Okay, so hopefully you got that. Again, I'll simply scroll through this file. Feel free to pause the video wherever you feel like and just copy the code. So I'll simply scroll through this. Okay, so this is done. Then coming back to Objective-C file, like I mentioned, you will have to change the extension to .mm for Objective-C++, which is again required by React Native only. I'll just remove this redundant code. So again, some part of it I have copied it from the documentation. So first we have to import our header file. Now this should be your bridging header name. So here you can see my bridging header file name is rnapp. Typically it is your project name, so you'll have to write your own bridging header name because we are calling Swift code from Objective-C, right? That's why we have to do that. Followed by this thing, -swift.h will be common for all. Then here we create an interface RCT native cloud storage. Then here we have this implementation of RCT native cloud storage. Then we create an RCT export module native cloud storage. Okay, then here we just initialize our Swift file. This code I have copied it from the documentation. Only thing is, here you will have to change it to your own TypeScript file name. Then here we override the create method, this read method, update method, as well as this delete file method, which we have defined it inside our TypeScript file. Then on the main thread, we call this create file method, which we have defined it inside our Swift file. So this is the Swift file variable, and here this is how we call it. And whatever completion handler we get, this is how we return the success back. So we can't really return back the boolean in Objective-C. We have to either return yes or no. Similarly, for read on the main thread, we just call this read file method from our Swift file, and whatever result we get, we return it back to React Native side. Similarly, for update on the main thread, we just do update file and pass the value, and if it is success, we resolve, otherwise we resolve as no. And similarly for delete as well. So yeah, I know it's little bit complicated, but it is what it is, unfortunately. This is the easiest way which I could find how to make all these things work. Okay, then you will have to go to icloud.developer.apple.com. Okay guys, so what you need to do first is you will have to sign in to icloud.developer.apple.com. So I have already signed in with my Apple account. Then you will have to click on CloudKit database. Then once you are inside CloudKit database, you will have to select your container ID which you have created. So like I have lot of container ID, but here you can see this is the container ID which we created, right? So make sure you select that. Then inside database, you will have, we are using private database, so that's what we have to select. And here you can see we don't see our file storage. This users is present by default, so yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, let me just go to our code, and if you see my output here, you can see the create button is getting blocked by this particular thing. So what I can do is I can just go to app.tsx, and I'll just add some styles to this button style. I'll just add some margin top just so that our button is clearly visible. So yeah, here you can see. Now I'll click on this create button. Let's see, even I have not tested it, so let's see how things goes. Okay, so JavaScript logs have been moved. You cannot see them inside Metro Bundler. That's why I'm using Xcode. So here you can see file was created successfully. So this is from the native iOS code, and this is from the JavaScript log. Now if you will have to refresh your browser. Again, make sure you have signed in inside your iCloud as well. So here you can see now we are able to see file storage. Again, make sure you have selected proper container ID, as well as this is private database. So I'll just select this, then I'll just do query records over here. and here you can see file is not marked indexable. So if you try to read the data, you won't be able to read it. So this is just a one-time thing which you have to do. So you will have to go to indexes, you will have to click on this plus button, and inside record type you will have to go to file storage. Inside type you will have to select queryable, and inside field you will have to select this record name. Again, this record name field is not created by us, but yeah, it is created by default. You can't select the field file field because this will not make it queryable, so you'll have to select record name, and I'll just click on add. Now if you go to records, go to private database, go to file storage and click on query records. Here you can see we are able to see the file. Now again, if I come over here, if I click on the read button, hopefully we should be able to read it. Here you can see hello coding with nobody. Now I'll click on update. Let's see if the file has been updated. Okay, so file has been updated as well. Now I will click on read again. So here in update we were sending by coding with nobody. Now I will just delete this file as well. So I've clicked on delete. So the file has been deleted, as you can see in the logs. Now if I try to read it, here you can see no content found, and if you try to go to your try to do query records again, the file should have been deleted. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.